All right, we're here. We're live. Welcome back
Woo!
to the GOAT podcast. I'm making the executive decision right now that we will momentarily name it that, because it truly is the greatest of all time until we think of a different one, because I'm sure that's taken like so much. But for today's presentation, I'm super pumped, y'all. I'm going to be giving a case for ex materia, which ex materia means like creation from something, and basically the complete opposition to ex nihilo, which is creation from nothing. Yeah. Um, well, jump right in, and I have just a lot of information to share on this one, so please at any point like jump in and be like, "Whoa, I thought that was so boring," or "My, you're very confusing there, Joseph." Like, please, any additional comments are greatly appreciated. So,
I also
um,
agree. Definitely extra comments are very nice. Yeah,
okay, thank you.
you're
Well,
welcome.
uh, I will say my primary source for this is my one of my new favorite podcasts. It's up there with the Stick of Joseph. This is called Ward Radio. They're probably a little more, I don't know what, like carefree of a podcast. Stick of Joseph, they're like very like professional-esque, polite-esque, whereas Word Radio, like they'll swear every now and then. They'll most of their videos are taken down, anti-church videos. I love them. They're great. They're in LA and they're like, oh yeah, all the crazy Utah people
Yeah, it's
living
always
out
those LA guys.
there. Yeah. Okay. So our roadmap that we're going to be going through for today is first we're going to talk a little bit about the history of ex nihilo creation, where that came from, and then we're going to tie over and talk about how ex nihilo creation actually paved the way for the Big Bang as a theory, and it's kind of the origin story of that. And from the Big Bang, and then once we debunk the Big Bang and show how it's like, then we're gonna uh, do some final ultimate authority takes with just the scripture picture. Woo, woo,
Clever,
woo.
clever.
Thank you, thank you. Do not hold the applause. Okay, so the ex nihilo creation. Where did this come from? Do any of you want to take just a quick gander, just shoot the breeze, guess where it might be from?
This one's making something out of nothing, right?
Hmm.
Mm. I don't know, because we've always seen it as God organizing matter already existing, right? It's not him creating it, it's just organizing. That's always been my understanding.
Yeah, I agree with Tanner, at least in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yeah. I
Mhm.
think my guess where the nihilo creation would come from is probably from one of the creeds. Because I feel like I remember hearing somewhere that like ancient Jewish tradition also lent itself towards a more like things were created before tradition. But I wonder if that came in more so post like Christ. I don't know.
Both of you are spot on the money. Bravo. Cheer, cheer. You were right. Like from our founding days, one of the defining features of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is heck no to the ex nihilo. Um, Whereas in contrast, you are also correct that this originates from the creeds. More specifically, from this guy, Tatian, who was a second century Christian philosopher. So we're already a couple hundred years past Christ. He's the guy who we think first came up with this idea.
Mm.
And
So
he
he's not
came
a
up with this
Christian
idea.
philosopher, he's a heretic philosopher.
Yes, that's right. This wicked man
Mhm.
leading people astray. Oh, the creeds. So he basically came up with the idea in contrast to, or like, in order to appease the Romans and the Greeks. Just to clarify again, the vast majority of the photos you'll see here today are from Image FX, and I love that these three Romans are like absolute clones. And I just did Roman people, which makes sense the era, and I just did Greek people, and I was expecting something similar to this, to like the Romans, and then I was like, oh wait, we still have Greeks. So
I love it.
think
I
of these
love it.
guys wearing, think of the Greeks as wearing togas as well.
Hmm. No, they still do.
So yeah, there we go. So basically, this is how this philosophy came to be. Tatian is like Christ has resurrected. It was resurrected. He took his body back upon himself. And all the Romans and the Greeks had more of a picture like this. They're like, ah, why would you want a body? Because for forever, their gods did not have like this physical form. That was something lesser to come down to a corruptible um, body, or if like God has a body, it means that my body can interact with his body, and that's like a big no-nos. So, in order to satisfy these naysayers, Tatian is like, oh well, yeah, the material of God's body, it's like a cohabitating material, like higher form. And then the Romans and Greeks are like, what? You saying God just made up, like just snapped his fingers and there's a material? He can't do that. And Tatian's like, oh, wrong button. And Tatian's like, yes, he can. Whoa! And boom, that's ex nihilo. That's where that came from. Basically, trying to appease the Greeks and Romans over why would God have a physical form? It's just like he made. I mean, and on top of that, Christians with the Greeks don't believe that he has a body now. It was just for that small moment of the resurrection that he had to have a body once again. Um, but yeah, fascinating, right? And so,
Interesting.
as you said, Nephi, the creeds are what solidified this thing. So now, in the fourth count, Lateran Council, 1215 AD, is when this is like full blown, widespread doctrine. One of you want to read their fancy old time medieval speech?
I'll
Yeah,
take it.
I enjoy. Oh,
Oh,
you take the heresy.
thanks. We firmly believe and simply confess that there is only one true God, creator of all things invisible and visible, spiritual and corporeal, who by his almighty power at the beginning of time created from nothing both spiritual and corporeal creatures. The Fourth Lateran Council, 1215 AD.
And that's it.
Interesting.
Man,
This
those
man with the
haircuts, man,
braid.
we got to bring those back.
I know. I
The
mean,
bald
did you see
top,
the
yeah.
braid? I thought Jim and I nailed that one, but here's a little more artistically accurate depiction. Everyone back then had pink cheeks and blue chins, but
Mm.
yeah, that what takes you guys? Well, I guess it's not very surprising. You guys literally predicted like spot on where this thing came from. Um, I guess yeah, all I can say is that there's an not artificialness. I mean, yes, artificialness. There's a very post-Christ doctrine and vibe going on because of this. So, anyone have any
Well,
comments you want to say before we move on?
I just think it's interesting that they have to settle doctrinal questions through a council of man, not a council of God, if that makes sense. Like revelation isn't involved here.
What do you mean by that, Tanner? Will you like talk a little more?
Well,
Because I
they
think of
just
like, I
get a
mean,
bunch of
12 apostles
high,
to have a council.
yeah, but they do it through revelation, not through, just talking to each other, right? At least that's my impression.
Well, I mean, honestly, I will push back a little and agree a little, Tanner. I feel like I guess the more I learn of the church and life, the more I feel like, man, I really think that these guys are doing pretty similar to what our apostles do. The difference we would claim is authority, and so how effective slash legit that is. I don't know, like I don't know, like if you read the stuff that like went down for like the blacks not getting the priesthood for a time, or I don't know. I'm sure there was lots of debate that went down for saying that children of transgender gay parents are not to be baptized. Like I don't know. I guess yeah. That's if we want to go down that more, we can. But I've been intrigued. I think you're right that it's like just councils of men, but I really think the difference is those keys there, and I think those keys is what makes the different outcome. That's my proposal, my thought.
Yeah, that'd be my understanding as well. I think that's very interesting. I think just an example, other Redland came to uh, Orem, Utah to have a little bit of a like devotional with us, and it was just fun. He started off by saying how he testifies of how the core of the 12 apostles are representatives of Jesus Christ who have the authority. But gosh darn it, sometimes it's just so hard to get him to agree on which hymns to put in the new hymn book. He just talked about how that was the hardest
Really?
thing that has been at their issue. Kind of in like a
No
joking,
way.
jesting way, but it was just funny how I'm like, dang, like that's fair. I feel like that's definitely more of just like a easy peasy type decision when compared to other things it might seem. But yeah, interesting. And I
Well,
think
I guess in terms of salvation, the hymn book isn't super important. So there's
yeah,
lots of
totally.
differing opinions.
Thank goodness.
Totally. Yeah,
Hmm.
thank goodness. No kidding at all. And that one I'm like, yeah, sure. Put it up to a vote of people, I suppose. But I think what's really interesting about this, especially seeing that you said Tatian, he's from the 2nd century, and yet this council didn't like incorporate it until 1215. Do you know more of the process of like how widespread it was until then, or if it was like accepted before then?
I don't. The well, I mean, the impression I got from reading, there's another guy that started with a T. I don't remember his name. I think he was fourth century. That I guess was influential. But basically, it sounds like we think that Tatian was the first to write about this, and then from him it just slowly built and like grew in popularity until this council happened, and then it became canonized essentially. So
Interesting. Very
yeah,
interesting. I feel like on one front, I feel a little bit for Tatian because it's like, he's trying to convince these people of the reality of Christ. And maybe for him, he's thinking, well, yeah, it's got to be like better. Otherwise, why get a body? And I don't know, maybe there's just like a disconnect in what he was thinking and what he was expressing, or even that um, I feel like the idea seems cool, right? That it seems more powerful to make God be able to, at the snap of his finger, do anything and everything, right? But at the same time, like we've talked about before in previous episodes, it's just crazy with like problem of evil. It's like, wait, how does that actually work out? I'm intrigued. I'm excited to see where you go more, Joseph.
Hmm.
well, exciting. Thank you for sharing in this excitement with me. Because we are now going to transition and see how ex nihilo creation paved the way for the Big Bang. Bum, bum, bum. All right. So this story is going to start with this man, George's. Oh, actually, sorry, that's the wrong man. It's
Yeah, I was like, that's
his
Albert
man.
Einstein. Okay,
Yeah.
there you
I
go.
I get a little thrown off. I get jealous of that mustache, as I'm sure
Mm.
George's would as well. Yeah, I'm sure he's staring at Albert's mustache right there, and it's just like, if only. Oh, so obviously, if this photo doesn't hint, uh, if you're hanging out with Albert Einstein, you got to be legit as far as math and science goes, right? And Georges, I'm not pronouncing this right. Jorge has no, George, George's Lamanitre. I don't know. Is I'll call him GL. That's great.
Cool.
He is um faced with three problems in his life right now. People are he's a Catholic priest as well, just so you know. So people are leaving religion for science. It's the growing fad. This really started big um, during and after the Cold War. All these big pushes for science and really started a lot of the big foundational naturalist movements and philosophies and thoughts. Um, at least more in our modern day. So yeah, he didn't like that people were leaving religion for science. He believed in ex nihilo creation, as a good Catholic priest should. And at the time, eternalism was a pretty big in popular opinion, which is the thought that just the universe has just always existed. It's just eternal, um, no beginning, no end kind of idea. And I guess I want to add the caveat that um, I know that with the Big Bang, there's like theories that like it still is like eternal and like the bang can like happen and then eventually after a bajillion years everything will like disappear or shrink or whatever and then the Big Bang might happen again and um, so I know there is an argument for the Big Bang happening like eternally as well, but um, for the sake of this argument, we're going to see the Big Bang as a start because what we're going to talk about is going to try to debunk that any Big Bang happens at all in the first place. So now that you guys got your tinfoil hats on, and this is going to get flagged for misinformation, and our kids are going to be hearing this and being like, "Oh, my dad or uncle is like so anti-science, scary." Um, okay, so I
Bring it.
I left track. So GL he had these three problems, and his solution was the Big Bang. He did the math, crunched the numbers, showed that this was a possibility. Albert Einstein was like, yeah, your math is there, but the physics, I'm not liking it. As well as another popular physicist called Sir Fred. Um, I guess basically I'm trying to say that when this came out, this was pretty controversial, and a lot of people didn't like it, like most new theories, right? He's a trailblazer. However, as more evidence came out, people started hopping on the bandwagon. Even Sir Freud, who actually coined the term Big Bang in a BBC radio broadcast where he was trying to mock it. He's like, "Yeah, can you believe that? Universe started out from an explosion at one point? Like, what, a Big Bang?" And boom, that's how it was born. Kind of fun.
You said that was
um,
Freud?
no, it's Sir Fred.
Oh,
Um,
Sir Fred.
I'm
Okay,
forgetting his last name, but yeah,
no worries.
famous physicist. Yeah, and he is Sir Fred. But eventually, more evidence came out, more science was done, and Big Bang is here to stay, and is now, I'd say, tell me y'all's impression, but the most prevalent, popular, big science idea of our day. That, like, you go to school and it's just a given that the Big Bang is part of science. Is that, am I, did I only have that? Yeah, I've seen some heads
I would
nod.
say yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
pretty standard. I do think that there is a lot of good evidence for it. From what we know, it makes sense the way that they've been able to explain it.
While I will totally agree with you, Tan, that like any theory, obviously there is stuff. Yeah, there is definitely
Well, of
evidences
course.
for
I'm
it.
not saying it's
Um,
true. I'm just saying it makes sense, That's all.
yeah, yeah. Well, it won't in a second, but um,
Ominous. I like
but
it.
the reason why this is so fascinating and like I think so prevalent and kind of one of the big points of the podcast that I had loved and so fascinating is that the Big Bang, this creation theory, is like a uniting point for science and creedists because if you have the Big Bang, then you can say you have a potential like alternate source than God for creation, for everything to come from. And the creedists, people who believe in the creeds, who believe in ex nihilo, love this because what more of a out of nothing oof, creation moment can you have than a literal just like there was nothing and then boom, And so like they love that. Both sides love this. Both sides love the Big Bang. And the problem with it is it puts some blinders on when looking at the problems. That's kind of the issue. And so let's finally get to the big reveal, the big part of what are the problems, right?
Wait,
Like
real fast.
say what?
In this, I don't know. Do you know a little bit of like percentages of faiths that side with it or something? Because I don't know. I go driving down I-80, right? And it seems like I see signs all the time that are like Red Cross on evolution theory, and it's like God created. And so I'm curious as to like, do you find that most religions, at least most, I don't know, creed abiding Christians, would you say did side with science, or are you saying that this is just a way that they could have agreed with it?
Um, I guess first thing I'd answer is my understanding and impression I've gotten is that people see evolution and the Big Bang as two separate things.
Mm,
Um, and actually, this podcast was going to be twice as long because there's a whole nother like multi-hour one that I wanted to incorporate in that was super fascinating. And by the time I was done editing the first half of this last night, I was like, I got to call it quits. I'm done. So as far as evolution and science and God goes, that's actually a big topic am planning and excited to talk about next time I present. Yeah, I don't remember if I actually put in, but I think I put a part one on top of this title and forgot to mention why. This is part one, and next time I present, I'll give a part two case. But yeah, in so the first answers I give, I think the impression I've gotten is people see those things as different. I
Well,
think I also wouldn't be surprised if there's different views among this, I don't know, quote, scholarly classes of religion that I mean, yeah, I could see more of kind of the everyday people being like, "Oh, science, nope, that's anti my religion." But at least in in doing my research and the impression I got from these religious scientists, scientific people, is they were not huge fans of evolution, but loved the Big Bang. Actually, like the very first topic and argument that this guy makes in this other podcast that I did not present on is his case for why the Big Bang points to a God. Interestingly enough, so no, so yeah, even I don't know what I actually am not trying to say that there is no Big Bang, even though I'm trying to be really strong on it for like I don't know sake of discussion and fun and argument, right? Because I by no means am a professional or have exhausted the research on this. This is just a view inside that blew my mind because I had never heard it before, like ever, zero. So
mhm.
cool.
that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Well, and to give some more specific background there, it looks like Pope Pius declared that the Big Bang Theory does not conflict with Catholic beliefs, and Hinduism has some things that, or has some groups that believe in the Big Bang. Islam, Judaism, yeah.
Wow.
So that quite a few
Yeah,
religions do believe in it.
yeah. So I'm not trying to be called crazy and get you all called as crazy as well. I guess I'm joining the already crazy people who are saying, hey, there's like a mutual interest by like everyone for the Big Bang creation theory to work out. Like, so
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
I think there's a lack of pushback going on. But so moving on, this is the problem with the Big Bang. It's called the horizon problem. Everyone knows about it. If you went to any university, talked to any physicist, scientist, whatever person, they'd know about the horizon problem. And this is basically what it is, how it follows. There exists unexplained uniformity in the universe. So my understanding by that, like uh, if you measure lots of different places in the universe, lots of them will be having the same temperature, which I guess means that they had to have interacted with each other, but based on their distance and based on the assumption of a Big Bang, it should be completely impossible for those objects to have any interaction with each other. Um, oh, yep, I jumped the gun a little bit there. Shouldn't have any interaction with each other. Uh, and so those objects would have had to travel way further than possible. And these assumptions really break the Big Bang. And so going back to what you said, Tanner, there is evidence for the Big Bang. Um, my understanding is typically the biggest evidence cited for it is called like red light shifting or something like that, which I didn't include this in the slide, but in the podcast, they talked about how there was one scientist who actually was starting to do research and studies and found evidence against the red light shifting, and he got blacklisted by all scientists and was dead. Not dead, sorry. Like they like people cut him off scholarly
He was
how legit is that
assassinated for
one?
his
I was like,
beliefs.
I don't know. I'm trying to just be a little bit tinfoil hatty, not too much tinfoil hatty. So we're gonna stick with the stuff that I think obviously has some pretty big claims. So Big Bang is in trouble. Cosmic inflation comes in to save the day, baby. Woo woo! Big Bang is gonna be here to stay. And
Love the
a
unicorn.
short thank you. And a short explanation. Cosmic inflation. You see on the far left, you got quantum fluctuations, and then the next thing to the right is inflation. You see that?
Yeah.
So basically, the
Man,
idea.
can't escape inflation even in space these days.
That's funny. Oh, well, basically, the idea is that in cosmic inflation is they're like, you know what? If we just have this brief couple seconds where we well, yeah, well, okay, no, yeah. So this I'm spoiling my next slide. This inflation fixes everything. If you insert cosmic inflation, then everything afterwards works. Your calculations make sense. Um, it really is like this huge hole of a problem for the Big Bang, and cosmic inflation is just the boom fix all right there. Um, Whoop, my animations didn't work out that one right. The problem with cosmic inflation, the big hole for the fix, is that literally what it is they say cosmic inflation is we're going to suspend all known laws of physics for a few seconds, and matter can move faster than light. If you do those two things just for a few seconds, suddenly all the calculations work. And so it's this like post fix in order because you're right, they have all these calculations and stuff that have all this um these theories and models that work as long as you can press pause on all physics and let matter move faster than light for just a few seconds. If you allow that, then it works. It's okay. And to kind of hit home again, this idea that everyone's rooting for the Big Bang, and that's what's maybe pulling that it's causing a lack of criticism. I actually have a scientist here to back me up on that. Um, I think did you read the last one, Nephi?
I did, yeah.
Will you take this away, Tanner?
Hmm. The cosmology? I thought
Yeah,
cosmology was like, isn't that like hair stuff or face stuff?
I
No,
think
it's not.
so.
I'm
Right?
totally thinking of
No,
something else. Sorry.
cosmetology.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. My bad.
Cosmetology, yeah, cosmology, yeah. Okay, the tology is the difference. Yeah, that's funny. I
Mhm.
didn't even connect that.
Yeah. Anyway, the cosmology community has not taken a cold, honest look at the Big Bang inflationary theory or paid significant attention to critics who question whether inflation happens. Rather, cosmologists appear to accept at face value the proponents' assertion that we must believe the inflationary theory because it offers the only simple explanation of the observed features of the universe.
Guess who this is? This is the guy who came up with the inflationary theory.
And even he doesn't think
Hmm.
it works.
Yeah, as a oh well done, Brooklyn's joining. Yeah, so as uh hi my love, hello cutie. We are
Hey, Brooklyn.
uh we are well underway, and for time constraints we won't be able to go back really much. But so excited you joined us, and you'll be here for at least the second big debunking of the Big Bang. So uh be excited. Um oh we also can't hear and see you, and if that's how you want to keep it, that's totally okay. But yeah. Okay, so okay, what's the thoughts? Tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm not. What's going on here? Basically, he was all in favor for the cosmic theory, cosmic inflation theory, obviously as the creator, until more evidence has come out, and now this is the tune that he whistles.
So, would you say that he's like expressly said he doesn't believe it anymore, or is this him just saying like, look, people need to stop just like taking it at face value. They have to give it some more good work in order for it to be like actually valid, but he still stands by it.
My understanding is he's basically doing this, like raising red flags, being like, it's just not as legit as we think. But basically what he said, he's like, everyone just loves the inflation theory simply because it makes all the calculations work. Like,
Mhm.
but like, what's the justification? Nothing other than, oh, look, it works now.
So funny. So funny.
Yeah. I know you guys are both still in school, so I'm sorry if you're getting like blacklisted by teachers and going to be forever hated as anti-science people.
Oh,
I'm a little
definitely.
nervous that 20 years from now, this podcast is going to come to bite us, and everyone will be like, "Oh, you're so crazy," la la la. But you only live once.
And it's just fun just exploring the ideas, you know?
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know. Any more that people want to say? I have two big hammers to throw at uh, the Big Bang Theory. This is the, I think, the big one. This first one. But yeah, any other
So
thoughts?
I think
Basically,
I'm still. I understand it completely. I mean, I'm an expert already because of your statements. But I still am a little confused about why the inflation's a problem. Like, or
um,
why we like how the inflation explains it stuff away.
basically, basically, in order, based on our observations in the universe, things have and like how so our calculations, right? So what our calculations is that the Big Bang happened 13.7 billion years ago. Well, based on that timeline and those calculations, things have moved way too far away for that to be possible. Way too fast and way too far for that to,
Okay.
like,
Okay.
they
I
would
see
have
what you're
needed
saying.
more time. And the things that have moved away, like, they're super far from each other, but the temperature, I don't know why temperature is a smoking gun. But for some reason, because they have same temp, a lot of objects have the same temperature. It's evidence that they have interacted with each other, and people don't, and people can't explain why they would have, unless um, you pick this theory, you save this theory by just inserting a little sliver that they just call inflation, because the cosmic inflation, because there's a time where they say if you just turn off the laws of physics and you let matter move faster than the speed of light, it works. It fills the hole. Look at that. Our calculations work. Suddenly, these things were able to travel fast enough and we're able to reach these distances. That's kind
Okay.
of the,
Okay. I see. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah. So I
yeah. And
guess a thought there. I've been watching a few videos about higher dimensions and just like how a 2D creature, like if you draw a 2D stick figure and you draw a line next to him, he can't cross that line, but you can go over that line through the third dimension, right? And so, like, as a proponent of God, he's a being of potentially a higher dimension. He could have made all that happen easily because of his dimension, right?
well, as far as um, like what God cannot do, like this tub of water can be nothing but one big hole. Like God would have big enough flex tape. Um, I I can agree with you there, Tanner.
Mhm.
Like the whole thing could just be an open thing of water, and he'll have a flex tape bathtub to put it all in. So I think you're right that he would fix everything. Um, but as far as the scientific naturalist, because the naturalist attempt is to try to give the explanation without God involved at all. And as far as their explanation goes, it hinges on cosmic inflation fixing everything. And the creator of the theory of cosmic inflation has since come out and been like, look, we just love this because it fixes our problems, but we don't have a good reason to justify it. Does that make sense?
It
Because
does,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean you're right, man. Like I think that's really cool to bring up dimensions because then you wouldn't even need to go faster than the speed of light, right? I'm about this much qualified to talk about what we're talking about today. and I am like that much qualified to talk about different dimensions as of right now. So I really don't. I don't know. I tried to like interact with your comment, but I'm just like I don't know what to say.
No, you're good. You're good. It's kind of out there. So.
No, you're good. You're good. But the show the the picture of the slideshow again, just trying to drive this point that there are some huge holes with this idea of the Big Bang, and that's not how it's taught. When you go to school, it's taught like it's just accepted. This is how it is,
Like a
which
watertight explanation.
I think is probably the right way to teach like the best theory at the time, you know? Like you're just trying to teach what the best that you have. But I guess again to reiterate this was just a perspective I'd never heard of before and it was blowing my mind. And to see how both the scientists and the credists, like religion, the religious scholars, like everyone loves the bandwagon of the Big Bang. Everyone jumps on it because it is a point for each side, I guess you could say, which is ironic because like the scientists are trying to say, oh, look, here we don't need God. But then, yeah, the creatists are like, oh, no, better evidence for God. Kind of, kind of funny, right? They each have their own take on it, but they both love the evidence. So, one other whammy to try and take down the Big Bang for you is when the James Webb Space Telescope was invented. One of its primary purposes that they stated was that they wanted to send up into space and to look super far back because the way how it works, right, is when we see light with our telescopes, that light is like millions and millions of years old, right? And like for billions of years old. So like we're not seeing the present with our telescopes, we're seeing way into the past with our telescopes, right?
Yeah, so if
And
you wish
so
upon a star, then your dreams are already dead.
I love it. That's awesome.
Take that one to heart, kids.
Mhm.
That's right. Yeah, take that, Disney. You didn't. They missed that memo. Um, but yeah, so they launched the James Webb Space Telescope into space, and they're like, okay, what we're gonna see is we're gonna see like big, complex celestial bodies, and then the further in time back we're gonna go, we're gonna get smaller and simpler ones, because that fits the Big Bang model. Like based on their calculations, that's what needed to happen with the Big Bang. Is like, yeah, Big Bang, boom, and so all the like gases and everything, right, goes like all spreads out, and then they slowly gravity pulls them together, and they turn into bigger and bigger masses, and yada yada. Makes sense. Like an explosion is giving off a bunch of shrapnel. It's not sending out uh, big chunks of grenades themselves. That wasn't very helpful.
Yeah,
My wife is still
that's good.
muted and her camera's still hidden, but I'm sure she did a forehead slap at that point. It's like, oh man, I married this guy. Um, so, oh yeah, and here you even see it in this illustration, right? You get lots of on the far left, you have lots of little celestial bodies, and then the further right you go, things slowly start to get bigger and bigger. That's the expected model. The James Webb Telescope went up in the sky. Anyone want to guess what they see?
Not that.
Boom!
Oh.
You're right. Not that. They saw
Red
this. Which
dots.
what is this? I don't know, but this is really huge. Like some of the biggest and complex celestial bodies that we've ever seen before, way back in time. And so it's like, oh, well, is
Yeah,
that
they
a
could
big
totally just
problem?
make it up. Like they could just like put a bunch of pixels on there and be like, "Yeah, this is what our telescope did, guys. Look at that."
Yeah, I know. Like every astronomer probably wears like the world's thickest glasses because looking at pixels all day, I think probably would break your eyes and just be like, oh,
Mhm.
how grainy. But yeah, apparently this is super huge celestial bodies. And that's what's going on. That it's massive and was completely opposite of what people expected. And now it's a problem again because if you have a big explosion, and like everything's gets spread out, thrown out, right? And then slowly comes together to grow into big things. You shouldn't see a bunch of big, huge things right at the start. And I can see Nephi on the inside is like, oh, my brother's crazy. He is totally going to get canceled. So anti-science. And I'm not trying. I'm not honestly. I don't even think I'd say I don't believe in the Big Bang today, nor am I for it. I haven't done enough research to know to love that. Right? Like I heard this idea on this podcast, and then I did do my own like research and evidence gathering that I've put in the description slides. But it's still not nearly enough to be like exhaustive, not even close. So I'm basically trying to provide our kids with get preside, haha, provide our kids with the opportunity of opposition and be like, holy cow, everything they teach me in school is not uh, doctrine. Because I think that's so easy for kids to feel, my teacher said no.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm your teacher. Think of poor teachers. There's so many layers of bureaucracy and information being passed down, and I'm doing this presentation with the intent of and hope that our kids will see how much nuance there is in the world, right? Does that make
Oh,
sense?
that. Yeah, transparency. I like that.
Mhm.
Does that take the tinfoil hat off enough that you don't feel crazy or don't feel like I'm crazy?
No, you're still crazy.
Hopefully. Well,
That's good.
maybe
I've
next
loved it. I've loved it,
presentation.
Joseph.
But so to get back to this then, so you're saying that there's these when we look back in time, super far away stuff, we see
Well,
huge, large, spaced out objects
yes.
when they should be all close together.
Oh wait. Hold on, Tanner. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Test one,
Yeah.
two. Can you
We
hear
can't
me?
see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, I just muted myself because you guys were getting canceled out. It was saying that I had internet connection. So we'll just need to edit and clip out this like awkward 1 or 2 minutes. Sorry, but yes, jumping back into it, Tanner. Thank you for getting us back on track. Basically, in order for the Big Bang to work, you need to have a bunch of small little um, celestial bodies and mass in the past, and instead we have a bunch of huge chonka rockas in the past as well. I don't know if they're rock space giants, but it just sounded fun. So to the rescue, this like unity, like everyone loves it. The Big Bang furthers a point of view for everybody, and so it doesn't see a bunch of opposition. Just like the creator of cosmic inflation said, he's like, people aren't taking a hard look at it and they're just glossing over it because it makes it work, you know? Like it makes your theory work and people don't want to attack their own theory. Other people need to attack your theory. But the problem is everyone needs the Big Bang for all their own theories to work at this point. So
Mm.
loaded stuff, man. Finally, the scripture picture. This is I will admit, like these are slightly separated, right? I just because ex nihilo might have paved the way for the Big Bang to be born. Um, Again, I'm not trying to say that the Big Bang didn't happen. I have not researched that enough, nor is there enough research for that. I think, even though there's a pretty good argument for it. But the scripture picture is gonna kill ex nihilo right here, though, because that we can 100% say, yeah, no, that didn't happen, bub. And we got some random fun quotes. Would each of you like to take one? We'll start with Unify, then Tanner, and then Brooklyn. If you're on, read the next one. If not, I can read it.
The wisdom of Solomon. Quote, all powerful hand which created the world out of formless matter. Close quote.
That is an apocryphal book.
Professor Roland K. Harrison, creation ex nihilo was too abstract for the Hebrew mind to entertain.
Professor saying that, right? The Bible, in the beginning and creation, like, yeah, that wasn't even the idea of ex nihilo wasn't even a philosophical concept
I'm
that the
sorry,
Hebrews had to be.
that's just like, I'm not saying it's short-sighted, but I mean it's just like
Makes him sound
the
stupid.
people in the past were stupid.
Yeah,
What it sounds
I know.
like.
And we're way better than they are.
I know. I don't totally agree with the way they said it,
But yes,
but
I
yeah, this
agree.
this
Yeah.
idea of ex nihilo didn't exist till a couple centuries after Christ's death, and even then it wasn't like popular enough to be considered doctrine until over 1,000 years after his death. So yeah, the Hebrews didn't even have this as a concept, and it's just another apocryphal script, apocryphal verse. Are you there? Would you like to read this one, Brooklyn?
Mute sign
I
went off.
saw that. Yeah, I saw that she unmuted, but I'm not hearing her.
She's raised her
Raised
hand.
her hand. Okay. My guess is you're letting us know that you're here and you're taking care of the baby or don't want to wake her up. Thank you so much, my love. We love you. I'll read it. um, it says, the dialogue of the Savior. Judas said, that's another apocryphal book. Tell us, Lord, what was before the heaven and the earth existed. The Lord said, there was darkness and water and spirit upon the water. Just another another evidence of like this idea of creation from nothing is not there. And our ultimate authority on the matter, our good old Papa Smith, right here. Um, I'll just read this one as well. It says the prophet Joseph Smith taught that to create, speaking of the Hebrew again, talking about those Hebrew verbs, to create does not mean to create out of nothing. It means to organize, the same as a man would organize materials to build a ship. The Hebrew word for create means to shape, fashion, organize, and form. And that is it. Isn't it ex nihilo dead? Like, it doesn't even have a chance. Like, what a theory of man. Am I right?
But then the question remains, where did the matter come from?
What matter? Oh, like matter itself. Oh yeah,
Matter, all
yeah. That is
matter.
a actual matter.
Mhm.
Yep, Tanner, that is a great question that I am again disqualified to talk about. So I don't know, but that's why people love the Big Bang
Yeah,
because it gives you an answer to that, right?
we love
But I
answers,
don't know. It's
but
like
I
it's
think
like
you're right.
any
We just don't
origin.
have one for this. We don't know where everything
It's
started.
like any origin. It's like any origin story. Um, though, like once you give an origin, it's like okay, then what was before that, right? I actually had Joseph Smith's quote in here that I cut out. Let me see if I can find it. Um, because I guess Joseph Smith kind of gives the answer. Um, okay. Joseph Smith said, I take the ring from my finger and liken it unto the mind of man, the immortal part, because it has no beginning. Suppose you cut it in two, then it has a beginning and an end. But join it again, and it continues one eternal round. So with the spirit of man. My theory is that matter is like our spirits, just the universe, just going back to eternalism, right? Basically, a very popular belief before the Big Bang is that it was just there. It just existed, you know? It's just the way it is. I mean, even my understanding is that the Big Bang people even believe that, right? E equals mc squared. I think the idea is that the mass existed. It was just in a form of energy, you know. But I don't know, some
Yeah.
crazy stuff there. You look like you had something you wanted to say, Nephi.
No, I'm just curious. I'm like, yeah, the E equals MC squared. I feel like it's a really strong point. But then again, if we just ignore all laws of physics for 2 seconds, like what happens? you know? So I'm curious. I
Yeah,
think I'm interested to learn a little bit more about the inflation theory
Mhm.
and how that came about. But ultimately, yeah, I love the quotes you pulled. I love
great.
that you pulled from good sources. And yeah, to my understanding and knowledge, I totally agree that I think as good as Big Bang might want to approximate an explanation for it, I don't know if it is or not. I'm also not qualified on that front. But I definitely do agree with the prophet Joseph Smith that the earth as we know it was created not out of nothing, but was fashioned or organized or formed to be what it is.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and basically just trying to make you feel like more needs to be done. Just
Yeah.
more. I hope I hope that you had a strong opinion and that you no longer consider it strong. That would be a great. Um, to close, I just have a. Oh yeah, I need a legally. My attorney tells me that I'm supposed to make sure that I credit my slides. So my slides go. Very grateful. Always love their free slides. Um,
Nice attorney,
I just
though.
have a little snippet. Thank you, thank you. I just have a cool concluding thought that I would like to give. Just a little snippet from the podcast. It's not very related to the Big Bang or ex nihilo at all. I'm not even totally sure. I don't super understand the science behind this. So again, I thought you might want to, if you can, investigate more. But basically, this guy talks about the certain like numbering of letters or whatever actually has like meaning in Hebrew, is my understanding, and he shares, I think, some really cool and beautiful insights on what God is saying by the words that he uses in Hebrew when talking about creation. So,
years ago was a
can you
book
guys hear that?
by Frederick Weinreb, The Roots of the Hebrew Bible. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. I actually, it's The Roots of the Bible by Frederick Weinreb, and it went out of print, but it's back in print now. You can get it on Amazon, and it is full of. He grew up Jewish, became like sort of a mystic Kabbalist, and then he started to publish a lot of stuff explaining uh, Old and some New Testament concepts through the lens of gematria, and how there's all this meaning behind the words, and how they're telling a story just in the words. So, for example, and I've got this in my scripture notes next to Genesis 1. The word create itself, it begins with the number 2, the bait, and it expresses the principle of creation, because the word comes from bara, which the 3 letters are B R A, and so those numbers are 2, 200, 1 in the way that the gematria works, and so 2 is the beginning of creation. The 200 is the fullest expression of creation. It's the 2 fulfilled in its fullest sense possible in the mortal world. The 1 is the return to its creator. 1 is the creator. So the word create means I'm going to create you to go into the world to fulfill your greatest possible measure of your creation, and then return to your creator. That's all implied in the word create.
Wow.
So a father, the word father in Hebrew is ab, which is spelled AB, which is 1, 2.
1, 2.
So
That that makes sense. So, oh yeah, look at that contribute. That makes sense so far. Any, I was looking a little bit at gematria, and it looks like it's a method of interpreting Hebrew scriptures by computing the numerical value of words based on those of their constituted letters. How legit this is or not, I actually don't know. But that's like, apparently what gematria is, and we can jump back in and finish it now.
he creates the 2. The father creates a son, and
weird.
And
Quaku would love this. Where's Quaku? He would love this.
Yeah, seriously. He's actually prepping for a party. Couldn't come down.
No, this is the real party.
Yeah.
Talking about gematria.
So woman is EM, which is Aleph Mem, which is 140. So they're both starting off as creators, and the word come is ba, which is B-A or 2-1.
2-1.
So
From
a man and a woman
back
create, and then they say come, and that's an invitation back to them. So the Father, what does the Father say to us? Or Jesus? Come, follow me.
Uh-huh.
I'll lead you back to the Father,
Ooh.
your creator.
Gematria. You've got that in there?
Yeah, that's in my notes. It's from Vinrib.
Cool.
That's it. That is. Oh, darn it. I don't know how to.
Years ago was a
There we
book.
go. What any thoughts or takes people want to take on that before I share?
I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. I think that it definitely fits my narrative, so I ain't gonna question that.
Yeah.
I think the concept is really interesting. I think that just looking at the numbers of things is kind of weird. Like it's just a language. I don't think there's any deeper numerical meaning behind it. But I don't know. I don't know enough about it to pass crazy hard judgment.
Same. Me neither. I don't know how legit scientific this is or not, and I don't know if I have much authority to say something is legit scientific after trying to bash the most legit scientific thing we have, right? Ha ha ha. But but I just want to conclude with my testimony and love that God created us with the intent and purpose to fulfill our utmost potential, and that we are here on this earth so that we can uh, find other people to do that with on our journey, you know? And some of us might be able to do it through a spouse whom we can cleave to and love, and some people are helplessly single like Nephi. But uh, but our our real purpose and intent with this creation is to come here, to improve, and to return. And all the extra cool niceties around that are just extra. But I feel so blessed and privileged to be on this journey with y'all and hopefully with our kids that will be someday watching this and we aren't dead and they're on this journey without us. But that's it, gents. Thanks for your time today.
Thank
Amen.
you. Excited for next time when we talk about evolution and why it's lame and how
That's
Darwin was a
right.
fraud.
Thank you for the
Good
hand
hands,
clapping,
Brooklyn. Good
Brooklyn.
hands.
I forgot to mention, I saw your message earlier that you were trying to talk, but it wasn't coming through. Thank you for being here. So fun. I'll have to fill you in on the rest of the presentation another time. Oh wow, love the emojis. This is very fun. Where's the tears though? Like, aren't people like emotionally scarred at the same time? Ah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, that's it. So we'll end the stream and excited to see y'all another time. Bye.
Sweet.
Bye.
Oh, well,
Well done,
not
Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
not bad. Thank you. I am